Yeah, here we go. Say it with me. Happy Tuesday. Welcome into another edition of the Joe Raineri Show, brought to you by WagerTalk.com. It is your one-stop shop for knowledge when it comes to sports betting. Not to mention, you've got access to over a dozen of the best sports handicappers in the country, all available to you at WagerTalk.com. So happy Tuesday to you. We are loaded here today, and I mean loaded. We got football among football talk going on. We're going to check in around the country. We like to do this once a week, where we check in with different beat reporters around the country, check in with certain teams. Today, we are going to talk with Jori Epstein from the Dallas News. We're going to check in with America's favorite team, the Dallas Cowboys, fresh off of their just beatdown of that elite defense known as the Jacksonville Jaguars. Really just a quality win for the Dallas Cowboys at home. And if anybody's defense was elite, it was the Dallas Cowboys this weekend. So we're going to talk to Jori coming up. Also, we're going to check in New Jersey to talk about the New York Jets. Yes, that's right. We're going to check in with NewJersey.com, NJ.com Jets reporter Darryl Slater. We're going to get the latest on the injury-plagued New York Jets. They got a big matchup at home again this week against the Minnesota Vikings. A lot of people want to label this game as some sort of revenge game for Kirk Cousins, dissing the Jets offer and ending up going to Minnesota. And then, of course, the Jets ended up with Sam Darnold. So I'm not sure there's any losers in this, but we're going to talk to Darryl Slater and get the temperature and the finger on the pulse of what's happening with the New York Jets right now. And, of course, locally here, South Florida, we're going to talk to the legendary Lisa Johnson. Love Lisa. OurTurfFootball.com. That's OurTurfFB.com. You got to check it out. Some of the best reporting around the country. 32 NFL teams, 32 female reporters that bring it on a consistent basis. Lisa, she covers the Miami Dolphins, and want to ask her a whole bunch of stuff of what's going on there. It doesn't look like we're going to have Tannehill in the immediate future. Can the Dolphins win moving forward with the Brockmeister? That's right, Brock Osweiler. Can they win over the next couple of weeks with Brock Osweiler? We're going to check in with Lisa. We're going to see what she has to say. That's coming up. Do want to welcome you, those of you that are first-time watchers and listeners here. Thank you very much. That number up there, that's right. We've got all sorts of technology. That's wonderful. That number is how you reach us here on the show, 855-WTF-2255, part of the WTF Sports TV network. It's a simple number, 855-983-2255. That is how you reach us, and bring it today, because some of the hot takes that I'm reading, and it's a rough day for me because I keep reading social media, and maybe there's a reason why people go completely crazy reading social media. And from a sports standpoint, man, the hot takes that you get coming out of Twitter are just, whew, man, they make me sweat. They get me all, I break out in hives. I get itchy. It's really something else. And there were two hot takes today that just, we continue to have this argument, and it's baffling to me. The first argument has to do with a college football player deciding to call it quits, not come back to play the remainder of the year, because there's a really good chance he's going to be a first-round draft pick in next year's NFL draft. That person being Nick Bosa of the Ohio State Buckeyes. Now, the hot take that we're getting on this is that he's quitting, and that he's quitting on his teammates, and that, for a tuition of roughly about $45,000 a year, that somehow or another Nick Bosa owes it to his teammates and to the university, and he's not living up to the scholarship, and he's letting all these people down, and yada, 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 and, how could he do this? Now, for those of you who don't know, Nick Bosa has been injured. He's got some sort of core muscle injury in which he suffered in Week 3 against TCU, and he was trying to rehab it. We were hearing that he was trying to rehab it, and that he was thinking about, or he was going to try to come back, week 6, 7, or 8 here in the college football season. But as it turns out, he's shutting the door on his college career at Ohio State, and he wants to start rehabbing and training for the NFL draft. And the predictions are, and the rumors are, the scouts that they all predict him to go in the first round. So keep in mind last year that the number one pick in the NFL draft signed for $33 million. When you're talking about a top draft pick, top 5, and he is projected to be a top 5 draft pick, you are talking about millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. Now, there are only 32 teams in the NFL, okay? Only 32, which means there can only be 32 number 1 draft picks. There are those that are afraid that this is going to become an epidemic and all of these players are now going to start dropping out of college football and opting not to play because of the draft. And me personally, I wish him the best of luck. Drop your ass out, okay? Because the university and their $45,000 a year rip-off tuition, okay? Most people who graduate college are only qualified to go back to school. Okay, most people who graduate college are graduating in $100,000 worth of debt and can't find a job for more than $36,000 a year. So if you have an opportunity to make millions upon millions of dollars being a professional athlete, and the amount of college students, the amount of student athletes that have this chance, how many student athletes are currently playing in college football right now? How many thousands are there across the country? And yet there's only going to be 32 of them that are good enough to be first-round picks. We're not looking at an epidemic. We're looking at a very smart business decision by the Bosa family. And it doesn't hurt that there's a Bosa in the NFL right now. Was a first-round draft pick, actually held out for the cheap-ass San Diego Chargers, ended up getting paid, and he was worth every damn dime. How many of these stories have we seen, insurance payments or no insurance payments, about these guys getting their careers blown out because they went the extra game or played in that bowl game that they didn't need to play in, and then ultimately gave up their dream of playing in the NFL because they ended up getting hurt? We've seen it time and time again. So I certainly hope that we see more of the Nick Bosa decisions in college football, because if you're not going to pay these guys, if you're going to make billions and millions of dollars off of the likeness and off of these guys without paying them, then by all means, the 32 elite, the elitist of all, the best 32 college football players in this country should have the option to go, you know what, I'm out. Like, I'm out. I appreciate it. I love you guys. Love you, Ohio State. I love you all. But you know what? I'm not you, okay? I'm not the backup safety on the team. I'm a guy that has a chance to go out and get a, $30 million, $20 million NFL contract, a top 5 pick. I'm not like you, okay? So to compare me to everybody else is not fair. I hope we start seeing more of these guys, because if it was my kid, you bet your ass I would have him. Hell no, you ain't playing again. Absolutely. There's nothing good can come from Nick Bosa going back out on that field and playing for Ohio State. I get why Ohio State fans, I get why, certainly Urban Meyer would want him back on the team. I get that. But you know what? Sorry. You got a top 5 pick potential. You're definitely going to go in the first round. And you know what happens from here? You going back and playing on that field, the only thing that happens is you're diminishing values every time you take an additional snap without being paid. So if it was my kid, you bet your ass I would sit him on the bench. And now answer me this, for all of you, all of these moral high ground people, the moral police are out in full force on social media today with this, telling me how he somehow owes it to the school and the university, which is a laugh in itself, and how he owes it to his team. He don't owe anybody shit. The only person he owes is himself and his family. That's it. Because I can guarantee you Urban Meyer could give 2 shits less about his career. He doesn't care what happens to him next year when he's out of the program. The only thing Urban Meyer cares about is this year. It is a what have you done for me lately business. And for a kid, as well as a lot of other of these college kids, these college athletes, you ain't getting paid. But yet you're watching these universities make millions and millions of dollars off of your blood, sweat, and tears, and you're not paying them because we're supposed to buy somehow or another that tuition is the same, that's some sort of exchange, which is a joke. Yeah, no. He doesn't owe it to Urban Meyer, Ohio State, the Ohio State fan. He don't owe anybody anything but himself. So please stop with the whole moral high ground where he should do it for Urban Meyer and because he got a scholarship and all of it. He don't owe Ohio State jack, okay? He don't owe them jack. And from a business standpoint, I wish there were more business decisions made for the 32 best college players in the country who are going to go in the first round in this year's draft. I hope more of them opt for this, because the last thing I want to see is another devastating story about a kid getting his leg blown out or some sort of career-ending injury because he played in the who gives a shit bowl at the end of the year because he felt some sort of honor code that he deserved, that he had to give to his teammates and to the university. Bullshit, okay? It's total bullshit. Take care of yourself. Take care of your family. It is big business, people. College football is big business. It's for grown-ups. You want to act like these 18, 19, and 20-year-olds, they're just, they should be thankful to have the opportunity to play. That's fine. But you know what? When the roles reverse and the leverage reverses, I am all for these guys sticking it to college football, to the university, and to these coaches and saying, sorry, man, I got to sit out. Because what would you do if it was your kid? What would you do if Nick Bosa was your son? Would you risk him coming back in week 8? Would you want him to risk being a top 5 draft pick right now? He don't play another down in college football. He's still a top 5 draft pick. He goes in there and re-aggravates the injury or hurts himself again or has another injury. What happens to his stock then? So as a parent, you're going to let your kid go out and risk that? Really? And I want to hear from you guys today on this. 855-WTF-2255. That's 855-WTF-2255. That is how you reach us here on the show. We are going to talk to Lisa Johnson. We love our girl Lisa. She's going to join us here in just a couple of minutes. Miami Dolphins reporter and one of the best in the game. Love it. OurTurfFootball.com. That's OurTurfFB.com. What a great website. What great content. 32 NFL teams, 32 of the best female reporters across the country. Great coverage from your favorite team. Definitely check it out. She covers the Miami Dolphins. We are going to talk to her coming up here in just a minute. We do have to acknowledge our sponsors here on the show who are nice enough to make all of this happen, especially the folks at Miami Acura, who invite you to go take a test drive, the all-new 2019 RDX. What are you waiting for? All right. If you are in the market for a new car, might I suggest, go take it for a test drive. It's all new. It's all redesigned. It's got every bell and whistle possible, not to mention the deals are unbelievable right now on the all-new 2019 RDX. It's like driving in your living room. You just kind of kick back and chill. It drives itself. It's a beautiful, and I mean a beautiful combo truck/car. The room is amazing. It just it folds around you. It's got great acceleration, but more importantly, the deals. Yes, the deals. They want as many of these moved before the end of the year as possible. So right now, there's never been a better time for you to get that car you've always wanted, only at a price you didn't think were possible. It's happening right now at Miami Acura. So for those of you in the 305, you know where it is, South Dixie Highway, Palmetto Bay. Outside of the 305, if you have no idea who Pitbull is, simply call them at 855-564-4669. That's 855-564-4669. That is how you reach them there. And coming up next, we got our girl Lisa Johnson, OurTurfFootball.com. We're going to talk Miami Dolphins. Can the Dolphins win without Ryan Tannehill? Can they do it? We're going to see what she has to say. That's coming up next, exactly 2 minutes away. But first, we got to thank a few more of our sponsors here on the show. They support us. We hope that you will support them. Low Cost Airlines, Superior Cruise and Travel, as well as Miami Acura. We thank you. They support us, guys. We hope that you support them. We'll be back with Lisa Johnson in 2 minutes.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Why? Because you can save 45% on packages compared to your high-priced cable bill. Wow. Take those giant scissors out and cut the cable and save with Dish TV. Plus, you get a free DVR upgrade to record your favorite shows and free installation. And with Dish Anywhere, you can watch TV for free on your mobile device. Act fast. You can save hundreds of dollars. Does your cable company do that for you? I don't think so. Get all the best TV programming at your fingertips at a fraction of the price of cable TV. So say adios, arrivederci, goodbye to the high cable bill and save up to 45% on Dish TV packages today. These are limited time offers and can change at any time. Call fast. 800-293-0328. 800-293-0328. 800-293-0328. That's 800-293-0328.
Do you use the expensive blue or yellow pills to charge your sex life? Are you thinking about it? What if we can promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for the other pills, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pills deliver the exact same results for less than $3. You'll save more than $16 a pill for the same results. And right now, radio callers will get 44 blue or yellow pills for $120 with free discreet shipping. You can save more than $700 off pharmacy prices. Charge your sex life now and save a ton of money. Call now and get your 44 pills and save over $700 and qualify for free shipping. Stop overpaying and call right now.
800-764-9168. 800-764-9168. 800-764-9168. That's 800-764-9168.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-761-1427. 800-761-1427. 800-761-1427. That's 800-761-1427.
Get ready to talk sports. It's the Say It With Me podcast. Now here's your host, Joe Raineri.
So, guys, it is Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday. I'm pretty sure it's Tuesday, though it just seems like it's been nothing but football, and I love this time of year. And the Miami Dolphins, man, they pulled one out of the hat over the weekend, and I couldn't think of anybody better to talk about it than Lisa Johnson from Our Turf Football. She covers the Dolphins, ourturffb.com. And, Lisa, thanks for taking a few minutes out and joining us.
Oh, I appreciate you having me, Joe.
Now, first of all, tell the watchers here, the listeners, the viewers, tell us exactly Our Turf Football, because the content on this website is amazing. Talk to us a little bit about what that is.
Basically, it is we created our own media, digital, all women's football media about 7 years ago. 5 of us got together, just love talking football, breaking our teams down. So we just got together and, everything's going digital media now. So we're just like, let's interact with some fans and get going. So we, got together, and originally it was called NFL Female, but since we incorporated and made it an LLC media company, of course we couldn't use the NFL name or we'd have to pay millions of dollars.
Yep.
So we came up with Our Turf Football, and basically we have 32 team reporters that you just, go to these games, report, write articles, and it's been fantastic. The NFL community has, embraced us, and, we're getting bigger and better every year.
I love the content is really amazing. OurTurfFB.com for those of you just joining us. Make sure that you check it out. And before we get to the Dolphins, Lisa, I want to ask your thoughts on a couple of things. Number one, last night, is it me or does every time Jason Witten talk, I get more confused about what's going on in the game?
I did the same thing, and I was reading everything. At one point, he was talking about like trucks in the end zone. I'm going, what are we talking about? So, I kind of like turn the sound down a lot now and just kind of watch the game, and
I don't get it. I honestly don't get it because I spent some time. I try to listen to it, and then just things come out of the speaker, and I'm going, I don't know what this man is talking about. I have no idea what any of them are talking about. If Booger McFarland's in a cage on the field, I don't know what they're doing with him. Like, I don't understand the whole setup. It's a little mind-blowing to me. But Aaron Rodgers did it again last night. Less than 60 seconds, marches down the field. You kind of knew it was going that way once San Francisco wasn't able to move the ball there the last couple of possessions. You knew it was setting up for another Aaron Rodgers moment. But, you can't give up 30 points like they did, certainly 24 in the first half to San Francisco, for me to take this team seriously. They've got some defensive issues there.
Oh, yeah, they do. I would think kind of both teams do, because we were kind of joking about that last night. Are we watching two really good offenses, or are we just watching two real bad defenses? But like you said, you couldn't script it any better, could you, Joe? I mean, last second, that's, bloody sleeve. I mean, it was just, twisted ankle. Today we'll probably find out it was broken. Who knows? That's where it goes. So, so like I said, it was, they got some defensive issues, and like I said, the 49ers had themselves in position to win that game. They really did. And, you talk to a lot of coaches around the NFL, and that's all you can ask. Give us a chance at the end to win the game. And, they had their chances.
Yes, they did. Lisa Johnson joining us, Dolphins reporter, Our Turf Football, OurTurfFB.com. Make sure you guys check it out. Last night we got 60 some odd points, another record-breaking ratings week in the NFL, dominating the ratings once again, 100 times better than what it was last year over the last few years. I'm wondering, Lisa, because I'm asking everybody, what do you attribute the eyeballs to television sets this year in the NFL? Is it the young crop of quarterbacks? Is it the high scoring? Or I happen to think it's gambling, and it's the legalization of being able to bet on these games, because who the hell else would watch the Cleveland Browns?
That's a great point. I actually kind of never thought about the gambling issue on that, but that is a great point. If taking that out, if I didn't, think about that, I would think it's just the rule changes have just made this a very, offensive-friendly football, and people love shootouts. And I think, like you saw Twitter light up last night. You saw Twitter light up Sunday night with Brady. These are, high-quality rated quarterbacks, shall I say, and everybody laughs. The NFL couldn't script it any better with these two, and the way these games come out. So, I would think that, a little bit more of the offensive power, but, the gambling, like you said, it's, since they yeah, you're right. I never kind of thought about it on that part, but that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, because nobody else is watching the Raiders or the Browns unless they have money on it, because let's be realistic.
Well, I think a little bit with the Browns now with Baker Mayfield. I think the Browns got a little bit of interest, but, and the Raiders are starting to kind of like, what happened to Gruden? I think there was high expectations there, and now it's like, okay, maybe the game's passed him by, so.
Yeah. Well, you try and build a team like it's 1998, and this is what you get. I mean, we can all see that coming.
Exactly.
We can all see that coming.
Absolutely.
Lisa Johnson joining us. All right, your Dolphins, and here's the thing I'm worried about with the Miami Dolphins fan base. Okay, the Miami Dolphin fan base now, just its recency bias. There are those on Twitter, and you're seeing it, Lisa, that are buying into the Brock Osweiler experiment here. I am so fearful that we're going to go backwards, and they're going to be looking for bridges right now, and they're going to be jumping off it in another week. And I'm worried. He was a great backup situation last week, but can you win extended periods of time with Brock Osweiler a quarterback? Can this team do that?
Well, I think if you play the way we all played, you can, because when you have perfect execution on every play, the way we almost did. I mean, our line left that pocket clean, and honestly, and I'll say it, Tannehill would have won that game for us too if we had that pocket clean for him. I mean, to me, Osweiler and Tannehill are the same guy. They're the same type of guy. They're going to give you what they give you, and Gase works around that. I mean, when Joanna James and Laramie Tunzel made the difference in that game. We got a run game going. We passed a lot to the flats with those bubble screens, and Frank got going. We had over 100 yards with Frank. Kenyon does what Kenyon does. He loves to utilize him as his little scat back, as his little, he can go out and catch passes. He can, run the rock. So I think what we saw Sunday was Gase's offense run with proper execution. Perimeter blocking was excellent. I mean, everybody got down the field. Nick O'Leary, Jack Nicholson's grandson, got involved. I mean, he's coming along. He looks like he's a nice little find for Gase's offense. So, I mean, everything just worked right. Everything clicked. If you do that every week, I don't care who's quarterback, they're going to win, either whether it's Tannehill or Osweiler. And Gase is sticking with Tannehill. I can tell everybody right now. I mean, he's not going to – he answered the question before the guys even asked yesterday. I mean, when he's healthy, he'll be back. He'll be back. Can we win with Brock consistently? You talk to people in Houston, and they'll be like, hell no.
Right, exactly. Yep.
So, I mean, because Brock can make that mistake in critical times, according to a lot of them. So I don't know. I got a lot of Brock just looked the part better than Tannehill. Joe, how do you look the part better than Tannehill? I mean, I kind of was just like trying to kind of get in discussions about that with some fans, and it's hard to, like you said, either you love Tannehill or you hate him. There doesn't seem to be too many people in between. It's you either kind of try to have a nice discussion with people or they just plow you, and it's like, okay, have a nice day.
There's not a lot of discrepancy when you throw a 4-yard out. There's not a lot of discrepancy. You can look the same. Everyone looks the part when you throw 3-yard passes. So it's not hard to do. But to your point, if that offensive line can get cohesive and they can continue to give, I don't care who's back there, you or me back there, if you give them enough time, I think what we learned is that there are enough weapons on this Miami Dolphins team that they can do some damage. So I know there was a lot of talk earlier last couple of weeks about we don't have any weapons and Devontae Parker's got to go. He's useless. But I do think there are enough weapons on this team if you give the quarterback, whoever it is, enough time to be able to get the ball in their hands.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you saw it, Sunday. I mean, everybody was involved. And, I loved it, like I said, but that's what happens when the game's won up front. When those big boys win the battle up front, you're going to have success 99% of the time.
Yeah, when is the last time you remember, and this was in the same weekend, and I know you were watching the Dolphin game, but I was watching the Denver game later, too, and I never heard the words Khalil Mack or Von Miller in either one of those games, and I'm thinking this is just, maybe Khalil Mack, and he's from Fort Pierce, so you know that. He's from the Florida area.
Yes, sir, I do.
But that 90-degree weather, man, they were sucking wind coming off of a bye week. I mean, you're talking a different animal here, and people don't understand. Miami does have a very distinct advantage, a home field advantage when it comes to that. We're playing 90 degrees in October while everyone else is playing in 40 degrees. It makes a difference.
It sure does. I mean, and we'll go back to Monday night last night. It was 36 degrees. You go from 36 degrees to 110 degrees humidity. That you'll struggle. And you start grinding these guys in the third or fourth quarter. I see it. I'm in the stadium. I see it. I see them throwing up. I see them getting IVs. I see them. Sucking the oxygen. It's hot down here.
Yeah.
And it does. It tremendously helps us. And it's been no secret that the way our stadium is designed, you're in the sun the whole game while the Dolphins are in the shade. It's so when teams come down here and prepare, they have to get shade up. They got to get fans going because you're right. It's brutally, and being down on that field for people that don't know, I've been down on that field. and I have left that field going, you know what, it's just crazy hot down here. I'm going back to the shade.
Yeah.
So, and I'm from here, Joe. I'm from here. I'm like, I'm good.
Amen, Lisa. Amen. Lisa Johnson, Our Turf Football, OurTurfFB.com. She's a Dolphins reporter. She follows the team. I want to ask you, too, about Adam Gase, because the thing that I took away with everything that's happened over the last couple of weeks and the victory here is Adam Gase could give a rip what you think about him. Adam Gase is not here to make friends. Adam Gase doesn't care if you like it. And this goes for the media, this goes for the public, and more importantly, it goes inside that locker room. He is not here to make friends, and I think he's kind of put his stamp on this in this organization. It's something we haven't seen in the past, but he is no nonsense, doesn't care what he's going to do it his way. He believes, if nothing else, in his way and what he is doing, and maybe we all ought to just take a step back and appreciate what we've got in Adam Gase as a head coach here.
Yeah, and it's and who's the first coach you think of that he mimics in that regard?
Yep.
Mine is.
Oh, we lose you.
Discuss his call on that 4th and 1, or what Brady was doing. He I always laugh because it looks like Gase would rather have a root canal than stand in front of the media, because he just and like I said yesterday, he was answering questions before the guys were even asking. I mean, he pretty much knows what they're going to ask, and he does. He has that no nonsense look. He could care less. I questioned why we kept 4 quarterbacks on the roster. That was just always me. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I just think that, when we started having some injuries, we could have used those spots other places. He flat out said during a press conference once when we were there, and he's like, because I want to. I was like, okay.
Yep.
Because I want to. And right then, I'm like, okay, coach, because I want to. That was his answer.
And that's good enough. And if he keeps winning games like he's winning here, then, people will just learn to keep pipe down. All right, let Adam Gase be Adam Gase. Now, the schedule moving forward here, it shapes up pretty good for the Dolphins. It seems like they're getting a little healthier. So the next couple of weeks, what do you want to see from this team as moving forward?
I want to see the same thing, consistency. I think and I want to win the battle up front. And I think, like you said, we just talked about it. I don't really go into the quarterback thing because, like I said, I think both quarterbacks are the same kind of mold quarterbacks. As long as this line can keep that pocket clean, and I just want to see consistency, perimeter blocking, everybody doing their jobs, and like I said, every Sunday now, these are battles. I mean, the NFL shaped out that way. It's just any team can win on a Sunday. It's just, which team's going to show up. And it's always a joke here, which Dolphin team's going to show up. And it's always funny is because I've been following this team and doing this for 35 years with them. And people always laugh at me, but I can tell you, when I see the body language of these guys, when they come out on the field and on the field, I can almost tell you, I just get this feeling, well, okay, today's going to be a good day. Or, I can see the demeanor of them and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, we're going to struggle today. Right. It's bizarre. I know people are like, you're crazy. I can tech, watching these guys and the way they warm up and stuff, you just get that sense of feeling of how they were. And Sunday, they were jacked up. They were all, high-fiving. They were, steady. And it looked like, I was like, I want to have a good day today, I think. And, wow, look at the game we got. So, I would like to see that. I'd like to see, Gase is Gase, like you said. We haven't really seen that trickery that people always said, oh, where's our offense? Where's this, great Gase offensive-minded coach? We're starting to kind of settle into, what, if you execute Gase's plays, they're going to work. We got, Wilson on the side. We got Grant. We got Gore. We got Kenyon. Michael Leary. He gets everybody involved. And just don't kill ourselves. Penalties are still an issue with this team. I'm telling you, the penalties, we got to get those cleaned up a little bit better, because we certainly can put ourselves behind the chains with some penalties. So, I'd love to see a penalty-free game, which I know is almost impossible, but I'd love to see at least, cut that in half.
A little more discipline, yes, we can all use that. And Lisa, one more question before I let you go. Lisa Johnson, Our Turf Football.
Yes, sir.
You almost lost Kenyon Drake, okay? Not from a physical standpoint, but from a mental standpoint. You almost lost him last weekend, and I thought him being on the field on that final drive, I'm not sure if it was a message being sent by Adam Gase, like, let's go, rub some dirt on it, get your ass back in there, or Frank Gore just couldn't breathe, and that was the reason why he wasn't out on the field. But either way, I think it accomplished what it was, whether it was meant to or not. I do think that was the kind of confidence boost Kenyon Drake needed, and it's something you're going to have to watch moving forward because he took that pretty damn hard.
Oh yeah, definitely. And yeah, red zone fumbles. Especially that late in the game, you're going to win the game. You're going into the end zone. All you have to do is hold on to the ball. I thought it was a statement. I think Frank would have been fine taking the handoff. I think tremendous kudos to our coaching staff, recognizing that, getting him back in there, getting his confidence back, starting to build. That is a tremendous boost to say, listen, get your butt back out there. Yep. You got to win this for us. So I loved it. I know Frank was tired, but Gore's a beast. I mean, I think he would have been fine too. He's used to this down here. So. I was good with it. I liked the call. I thought our coaches did a fantastic job getting him back out there. Just like riding a bike. You fall off, you get back on the bike, you got to ride it. Yep. And so, they need him going forward. We need him. So we need him mentally and physically in this game. And I think that was a message to him saying, look, we got you back. We're going to take care of this.
Yeah.
So
not sure that would have happened in New England, but you know what? Maybe that is the big difference between Adam Gase and Bill Belichick. All right, Lisa Johnson, Our Turf Football, OurTurfFB.com. Make sure you check it out. Some amazing content there, following all the NFL teams around the country. Some great stuff. Lisa, I thank you for your time. Have a good time this weekend. I look forward to doing this again.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you having me on.
And do me a favor also. Tell folks about your podcast, if you would.
Yes, sir. We do our podcast on Tuesdays. It is called Our Turf Tuesdays. You can find the links on Twitter at OurTurfFB.com. You can follow us on Twitter, and we'll have all the links up. We have guests. It's a half-hour show, so we have a variety of guests from around the NFL. We'll be talking trade deadlines and player rosters and injuries actually tonight on our podcast.
Awesome. Great stuff. Make sure you check it out. OurTurfFB.com. Lisa Johnson, thanks again. Have a great week. All right, that was Lisa.
Thank you, Joe.
You got it, Lisa. Thank you so very much. Once again, guys, make sure you check it out. OurTurfFB.com. Some great content there. Love that. Want to thank her so very much for stopping by. And we're just getting started here because up next, we're going to talk some New York Jets football. Darryl Slater, NJ.com. He's going to join us. Jets coming off of that. Listen, they got back-to-back wins for the first time in what seems like forever against the Colts last weekend. Now they're going to deal with Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings that are coming into town. Some people have this labeled as a revenge game, if you will, for the New York Jets, since Kirk Cousins kind of gave him the cold shoulder there and turned down their offer with all of that guaranteed money and decided to sign with the Minnesota Vikings. So how are they viewing it? Jets are a little bit beat up, so we are going to check in with our good friend Darryl Slater, NJ.com. He is coming up here in just a minute, but we do want to remind you also, we want to say thank you to our sponsors there, Acura, Miami Acura, that is. The all-new 2019 RDX is available and certainly would be great if you took it for a test drive. That's right. Set up an appointment. Go take it for a test drive. Deals like we've never seen right now for the all-new redesigned 2019 RDX. 855-564-4669 is how you reach them. That's 855-564-4669. South Dixie Highway for those of you in the 305. Get that car that you've always wanted, only get it at a price you never thought possible. Only at Miami Acura. It's the all-new 2019 RDX. Well, happy Tuesday here, guys. It's an exciting week, especially for the AFC East. I mean, let's face it, the Dolphins ended up winning a game which was they weren't supposed to win, or at least many people didn't think they would win. Buffalo seems to be competitive now. The New York Jets put 2 wins back-to-back. Unbelievable. And we want to talk some Jets football right now, so nobody better to do that with than Darryl Slater from NewJersey.com, NJ.com. He covers the Jets. And Darryl, thanks for stopping by, my friend.
Of course, no problem.
All right, so let's this is a pretty big hurdle for the Jets organization and for this team to be able to put back-to-back wins together like this. Some people look at it and be like, what is the big deal? But it's actually a pretty big deal for the New York Jets, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, the Jets had not won back-to-back games since weeks 3 to 5 last year when they had a 3-game winning streak. You look at this team, that was definitely a hurdle. They had 3 opportunities where they could have, since that winning streak, where they could have put wins together, and they were unable to do it. Of course, starting most recently here in Week 1 when they looked so impressive against the Lions, and then they flopped 3-game losing streak. So the team has responded nicely, and they're 3-3, and they sort of can reset things here going into the final 10 games of the season.
How impressed were you with what Sam Darnold was able to do? Not just this week, but over the last couple of games. I think you can throw out the first couple of games of the season because he's kind of getting his feet wet. But over the last few games, what have you seen, Darryl, that makes you go, this is the real deal?
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to remember the first 3 games were played in the course of 11 days. That's a really tough stretch for a rookie quarterback to endure. And Sam Darnold, the past couple weeks against the Broncos and the Colts, are obviously beatable teams, but his offensive line gave him some protection against that Broncos front. And then against the Colts, he did a really nice job of taking what the Colts defense could give him, which is a lot of those short underneath throws. Of course, they play that cover 2, and that was what they were going to give him, and he took that, and he took advantage of that. One thing he's done a lot better job of, according to his teammates, is being more assertive in the huddle in terms of his confidence and his play calls, in terms of taking control and command of the huddle. And you've sort of seen how that's manifested itself over these past couple of games with the success that he's had. 2 really good games in a row for the first time in his career. He's got 5 touchdowns, 2 picks the last 2 weeks. I think the quarterback rating is like a 110 combined over that time. The Jets will take that for sure. And so they're really happy with what they've seen in terms of his decisiveness, in terms of his accuracy, and in terms of being aware of what the opponent has in terms of taking what the defense gives him against the Colts, and then the Broncos gave him some deep shots. He was able to finally connect on those.
Yep, Darryl Slater joining us, NJ.com, covers the New York Jets. And listen, the defense can be great at times. It can be frustrating at other times. The Jets were in command of that game, but damn if Andrew Luck just wouldn't go away and just kept plugging away and plugging away. And I know the Jets were hurting the secondary a little bit, but, man, there's some things they got to clean up on defense.
Yeah, no question. I mean, the past 3 weeks they've given up at least 400 yards. I mean, the loss to Jacksonville was a disaster defensively, but they're a little bit better against the Broncos. And then the takeaways were their saving grace against the Colts. They had 4 of them. And last year, this team never got more than 3 takeaways in any one game, and they only got 3 takeaways 3 times. They already have 5 in the opener against the Broncos, or rather the Lions, and then last week against the Colts 4. So the Jets are at 15 takeaways. They had 20 all of last year. So that covers up for a lot of defensive mistakes. And there certainly were a lot of mistakes in terms of the Colts being able to gain a bunch of yards. And 400 yards 3 straight games is not ideal for the Jets, but the takeaways will cover up for that. In terms of the secondary going forward, the Jets this week against the Vikings get Kirk Cousins and Adam Thielen, which is a fantastic combination. Thielen is the most effective receiver statistically in the league right now. And the Jets secondary is banged up big time. Marcus May's got a broken thumb. He's not playing this week. Buster Screen's got a concussion, the slot cornerback. He might not play. And Tremaine Johnson dealing with a strained quadricep, of course, the number 1 corner there. So the Jets might be without 3 of their 5 starters in the secondary if you count slot corner as a starter. Since they play so much nickel, you really should count that as a starting position. So that's a tall order for the Jets here and Todd Bowles to figure out just how to cover Thielen and how to handle Cousins in this game.
And you got Quincy Enunwa, too. The news came down that he's out. But the good news is, I guess, Curse has finally become part of the, he's starting to get some looks, and he's actually contributing. He was kind of MIA for the first couple of games. So even offensively, they're still a little bit banged up there as well. Do they need to go out and get some wide receiver help, or what do you think is going to happen?
I don't think this is a long-term injury for Quincy Enunwa. A few weeks here with his ankle sprain, and Terrell Pryor is dealing with a groin issue, and he had a groin issue earlier in the year, so maybe a recurring thing. It's not clear if it's the same exact type of condition that he was dealing with earlier in the year. So the Jets really need Robbie Anderson and Jermaine Kearse to step up. I think they'll be fine with that group, and Chris Herndon, the tight end, the rookie, showed some signs of being a sure-handed catcher in the last game against the Colts, so that's a good sign for the Jets. So I think they'll be okay sitting with what they've got. Quincy Enunwa's situation doesn't appear to be a long-term deal. Just, those high ankle sprains can be tricky.
Yeah, no, they absolutely can. Darryl Slater, NJ.com, follows the New York Jets, covers them. And listen, it's funny, the back page of the New York Post, we've got to hear about all sorts of it's redemption time, pointing fingers at Kirk Cousins for, thank you, Kurt, for not taking the offer, and it allowed us to go up and get Sam Darnold. But isn't it amazing, Darryl, because just a few weeks ago, not everybody was singing the praises of Kirk Cousins, sticking his nose up at the New York Jets and heading to the Minnesota Vikings. Is this a revenge factor at all going into this game?
I mean, the players don't see it that way. I mean, they have no control over who the team signs or doesn't sign in free agency. Of course, and Kirk Cousins made the logical decision for him. I mean, nobody can blame him for wanting to go to a team where he could win more immediately at this stage of his career. I mean, he's 30 years old, and he's made a lot of money, and it's not like the Vikings offered him nothing. I mean, the Jets were offering him $6 million more over the course of 3 years, so it's $2 million more each year. When you're making $84 million total, $90 million, you really need the extra $6. Or is it worth coming to a team where you're not going to win? I mean, he did the totally logical thing, and in the end, the Jets wound up in a better situation with a quarterback. Now, we'll see what Sam Darnold can become, but there are a lot of reasons why the Jets are better off with Sam Darnold than they would have been with Kirk Cousins, and one of them, the age factor is one, and of course the price tag is another. The Jets have a lot of holes. They're not a win-now team. They need to plug holes, and Kirk Cousins wasn't going to be their only hole, and paying them $90 million is going to hamstring their ability to fill some of those other holes, including pass rushers. So now they have a ton of cap space going into the offseason next year, about $106 million projected right now, and they can go after a guy like DeMarcus Lawrence or go after a guy like Le'Veon Bell. So the Jets are in a better situation financially because of that. We'll see what Darnold becomes, and he's good signs so far. The jury's still out, but I think we know who Kirk Cousins is. He's a very good quarterback who's not elite. The thing about Darnold is he has an opportunity, at least, to be a generational quarterback, an opportunity, a chance. That's the emphasis on that word. So we'll see. But I think the Jets are better off with Sam Darnold, and quite frankly, Kirk Cousins is better off in Minnesota.
Absolutely, I agree. This is one of those very rare win-win situations where there shouldn't be any feelings hurt. You usually don't get that in the NFL an awful lot, but that seems to be where we're at here. And also, I mean, listen, you look at what's going on with the Jets offense, the ability, I mean, in 3 games, they've averaged at least 37 points with a rookie quarterback, and that's really never been done before, at least this early on in the season with a rookie QB. He's come a long way, but at the same time, he's got to get that offensive running game. You gash Denver for 300 yards, it's got to get a little more consistent, doesn't it?
Yeah, the Jets weren't able to do anything on the ground against Jacksonville, and not a ton on the ground against the Colts. Of course, you mentioned the Broncos. They gashed them for a lot of big plays. That's not really sustainable. I mean, you're not going to crank out a bunch of 30, 40, 70-yard runs. That's not how you become a good running team generally. The Broncos were a disaster, and they are a disaster right now. So I think you have to almost set that game aside and say, how are the Jets doing on a per play basis in terms of running the ball? And they've been okay. I mean, statistically, they're going to be, that one game is going to bump them up because they've only played 6, and that one game statistically is an outlier. But I think the Jets really have to focus here with Isaiah Crowell and Bilal Powell and their offensive line on establishing a consistent running game that takes some pressure off Sam Darnold, especially against a pretty good defense like the Vikings.
And what about defensive coordinator Casey Rogers? Is he back calling plays? I know that he has he's kind of been absent. He's been dealing with a health scare, according to Todd Bowles there. What is the status of Casey Rogers right now?
Yeah, as of yesterday on Monday, Casey Rogers has been cleared to return to work. He dealt with a medical scare, undisclosed. Todd Bowles declined to specify it. He did say initially that it was a serious illness, but as it turned out, Casey Rogers fortunately was only had to miss 2 games. He was not present at all at the game against the Broncos. He was there against the Colts, but he did not coach. He just watched the game from upstairs, like is where he normally sits, but he didn't do any coaching. He will be back, and he will work Sunday's game against the Vikings. He's going to be working this week back at the Jets facility. So he got the all clear yesterday, so that's fantastic news for him and for the Jets and Todd Bowles, who's very close friends with Casey Rogers. So on a personal basis for Todd Bowles, that's welcome news. In terms of how things will be handled going forward with the defensive play calling, it's up in the air. Todd Bowles handled that, of course, the last couple weeks with Casey Rogers out. and it's not clear if Casey Rogers will resume his duties with calling the defense this week against the Vikings. It's Todd Bowles needs to see this week how things go unfold. So Bowles obviously was familiar with calling the defense previously from his time in Arizona as the DC there, and then had called the defense early on in his time with the Jets. But Casey Rogers had been doing it for a little while now, most of the past, well, all of this year, of course, last year, and I think a good chunk of 16. So at some point I would think that he takes those reins back, but not clear if that'll be on Sunday.
Well, listen, it's a big game at home against Minnesota, who a lot of people think is definitely one of those teams that can contend for a Super Bowl. Kirk Cousins, the last time he faced, I think the only time he faced the Jets was back in 2015 with the Redskins, and the Jets ended up beating him then. So I'm sure they'll have an interesting game plan put together, but the health of this team right now, Darryl, I think is maybe the biggest scare. Do they have enough depth to overcome these injuries, do you think?
Yeah, I think the secondary is the biggest issue right now. So in terms of Marcus May, the free safety, who he's got the broken thumb and won't play this week and might be out, a month or so, the Jets are, their options there are Doug Middleton, who's been dealing with a hamstring injury and who did okay replacing May for the first 3 games when May had a foot injury, and then Terrence Brooks, who was, had mixed results against the Colts. So not ideal there. In terms of the corner, they're going to have to put Morris Claiborne as their number 1 corner against Adam Thielen. Huge test for Claiborne, who's played well this year. And then at the other spot, they have Darryl Roberts as their other outside corner. He's an okay guy. He's an okay player. I mean, but man, that's really what he is. And then in the slot, they're going to be going with Perry Nickerson, a rookie, once again in place of Buster Skrine, presuming Skrine doesn't play. And Nickerson didn't play any slot corner in college at Tulane, so he's still adjusting to the position, and he's shown some hiccups here over the past couple weeks since replacing Skrine against the Broncos after the concussion that Skrine had. So there are definitely some concerns injury-wise, especially in the secondary.
Before I let you go here, I got to ask, because there's an awful lot of Giant fans that are very worried that the New York Jets and Sam Darnold are overtaking, from a popularity standpoint, the New York Giants and Eli Manning. What is the feeling there, Darryl? What is the vibe? Have the Jets now become the more popular team in New York over the Giants, who have been the mainstay for how long now?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's 6 games, and the Jets are 3-3. It's not like they're 6-0.
Right.
Obviously, the Giants are off a miserable start at 1-5. But this sort of thing, in terms of popularity, it comes in ebbs and flows based on the success. Certainly, people want to root for a winner. But I don't see, I don't think there's a lot of Giant fans jumping ship and cheering on a 3-3 Jet team. But in terms of the attention page of the Jetsers, they are an intriguing team because they've done some good things here the last couple of weeks with an intriguing rookie quarterback, and the Giants sort of equally intriguing for a different reason for their failures. So look, I think that sort of thing takes some time to manifest itself in terms of the changing of the popularity. 6 games not enough just yet for that to change, but obviously there's a lot of people frustrated with the Giants, and there's a lot of people paying attention to them. And that means people care if people are mad about the Giants. So I still think the Giants are the top dog in town in terms of more people caring about them. But the Jets, who knows what this next potential decade could look like with Sam Darnold.
Yeah, listen, it's a good thing. The fact that they don't have to worry about a quarterback is actually a very good thing. All right, Darryl Slater, NJ.com. Make sure that you guys follow him, Jet fans. He's the guy to go to for everything that's going on with the team. Make sure you check it out at Darryl Slater on Twitter. Darryl, thank you very much for taking some time, my friend. Look forward to doing this again.
Sure, thanks for having me.
You got it. All right, make sure you guys follow Darryl there, NJ.com. Everything that is New York Jets, some great stuff. As a matter of fact, I believe he's going to be on NFL Live tonight and a roundtable talking about the New York Jets. So happy that he took a couple of minutes out to hang out with us here today. And we are not finished. We're getting ready to continue around the globe here. We're going to head over to Dallas in just a minute. We're going to get a quick peek and an update as to what's going on with America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. Jori Epstein, DallasNews.com. She is going to join us. Big win for them over the weekend against the Jacksonville Jaguars. One defense was supposed to be elite, one was not supposed to be. And it turned out that the Jacksonville Jaguars, not so great on defense, But man, oh man, I don't know if you guys caught what the Dallas Cowboys look like on defense. A totally different animal. And they got a lot of guys back. They're a little healthier. They still don't have Sean Lee, but they got David Irving back. They looked the part, certainly. I know it was against Blake Bortles, but they certainly looked the part against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So we're going to talk to Jori coming up here in just a minute from DallasNews.com. We will figure out exactly what's going on with the Dallas Cowboys. But first, of course, we want to thank a few of our sponsors for making this possible. Our friends at Low Cost Airlines, Superior Cruise and Travel, and Miami Acura. They support us. We certainly hope that you will support them. Coming up in 2 minutes, we are going to go ahead and talk to Jori Epstein from the DallasNews.com and figure out what's going on with them Cowboys. That's coming up 2 minutes.
Back pain doesn't take vacations. It never celebrates holidays. It's on the job 24/7 to keep your life exactly where it is, in limbo. But it doesn't have to be that way, because Laser Spine Institute can help you take back your life from chronic neck and back pain. With a less than 1-inch incision, our minimally invasive procedures have provided relief to over 60,000 patients with a 97% patient satisfaction rate. So get ready to stand tall and live the life you've imagined for yourself without pain. Are you or a loved one suffering from a bulging disc, herniated disc, spinal stenosis, pinched nerve, or degenerative disc disease? Call our spine care consultants now for a no-cost MRI review and to learn more. It's time to say goodbye to chronic neck and back pain. What have you got to lose? Laser Spine Institute, the leader in minimally invasive spine surgery.
Call 855-720-BACK. 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 That's 855-720-BACK.
All right, guys, pretty excited here. Very special guest joining us from Dallas because, let's face it, the NFL is so much better when the Dallas Cowboys are relevant. And voila, just like that, they are relevant again. And joining us via the Miami Acura hotline here live from Dallas, and I love this, Jori Epstein. She's with the Dallas News. And, Jori, thanks for taking a few minutes out and hanging out with us.
Thanks for having me on, Joe. Excited to join y'all.
All right, so the first thing I've got to ask you, which is what everybody is trying to figure out, is, and I'll get it up on the screen and see if you can you tell me what the hell this was at the Dallas game yesterday? Can you explain to me please tell me you throw better than what Conor McGregor was doing there yesterday.
I do. I'm an intramural flag football champion, so I throw a little bit better than that. And yes, Conor McGregor was there. He had the Cowboys fired up. They were all doing his strut. I learned yesterday that was his strut. And anytime the Cowboys scored and after the game, they kept doing that. And they said McGregor fired them up. So, there's nothing Jerry Jones likes more than his team hosting the league's best defense, putting up 40 points, and having Conor McGregor there on the sideline for it.
Yeah, Conor McGregor is just itching to have a fight inside Jerry World there. Let's be realistic. We know that's probably on the horizon. Even though he doesn't win anymore, it's still fun to actually watch him in the stadium. And I got to ask you, Jori, I mean, did anybody expect the kind of defensive effort that we got yesterday from the Cowboys? Don't forget, Jacksonville was supposed to be elite, and yet Dallas played elite on defense.
Yeah, I think it's funny because I definitely didn't expect this. We do predictions every week for the paper, and I had the Jaguars winning 24-14, which is a little bit different than the 47 Cowboys decisive victory that we got yesterday at AT&T Stadium. But the reality is that Rod Marinelli's been really growing this defensive line from scratch, his draft picks for several years. And it would be like, oh, well, Malik Collins' foot was hurt and Randy Gregory was suspended and David Irving was suspended, and getting everyone on the same field. I mean, this is the group that Jerry Jones has wanted, and this is why they've been investing so many second-round picks in their defense for years. And I think that you really saw that when they are healthy, they're not suspended. They keep their act together on and off the field. that this pass rush is pretty dominant.
Yeah, no, it was crazy, and there's some very interesting pieces working here on the defense. I mean, first I want to bring up you had David Irving back for the first time in a while. He was in Blake Bortles' face the entire time. Jalen Smith has quietly become a top 3 rusher and just dominating games right now. I think he had 9 tackles again yesterday in the game. And then you got Leighton Vander Esch, who, let's face it, through the first 5 weeks, a lot of people kept going, you could have had Calvin Ridley, and you went with Leighton Vander Esch over here. But all of a sudden, Leighton Vander Esch all over the field. I mean, these are some guys that can flat out ball right now.
Yeah, I mean, with the caveat that Leonard Fournette wasn't playing yesterday, this Cowboys run defense is great. So Jalen and Leighton are working really well together. I mean, you put Jalen's athleticism with Leighton's understanding of football, which amazes me because not only is he a rookie, but he grew up playing, I believe it was 8-man. So he played 1 year of 11-man in college. And then you have him coming to the NFL, and he just seems to know where to be. He's studying his film. He's going home and studying more film after practice. And they're just really effective working together. And I think that in past years, you would see it was something like a 70 rushing yards difference in games that Sean Lee didn't play and that he did, and how much that defense was allowing. And they're no longer dependent upon Sean Lee for this defense. So that being said, when Sean Lee's hamstring is ready to go, Sean Lee's going to be back on that field. They'll have a rotation. They'll keep him fresh. But Jalen and Leighton are really showing that there is life after Sean Lee for the Cowboys run defense.
And big time. I mean, Sean Lee is only going to add to what has turned into. It was like roles reverse yesterday. It was, oh, you think you're elite? Yeah, no. All of a sudden, the Cowboys defense, and again, it's Blake Bortles, and you said minus Leonard Fournette, but take it with what it is. The Cowboys historically are not a very good home team. Especially in this kind of situation. They were home underdogs yesterday, so it's not as if they have dominated at home before. So that was pretty damn surprising, the effort that we got out of them yesterday, both defensively and offensively.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, I think that offense also, it sounded like they were really seeing, okay, what did the Chiefs do last week against the Jaguars defense, who even after they lost to the Chiefs were still the best defense in the league and the best passing defense in the league. And Scott Linehan, the Cowboys offensive coordinator, who takes his fair share of heat, especially when the Cowboys play calls aren't going well, he figured out what was wrong. And I mean, I was in the Jaguars locker room after the game yesterday, and the word that kept coming up over and over again was miscommunication, and they weren't on the same page. They had their signals off, and between Dak using his feet more than he had in games, I think it was the second highest rushing total for a Cowboys quarterback ever. Between that and really getting Cole Beasley involved, and Dak and Cole Beasley have had a great connection dating.
Yeah.
You see that those are two important ingredients for the Cowboys offense to be effective.
Yeah, they absolutely are. As we put some of these highlights up here, I mean, we haven't seen that. We've been waiting for this from the Cowboys. We've been waiting from this offense with that offensive line and the ability of Zeke Elliott. It just hasn't come together. And then for the first time in a long time, and you tell me, Jori Epstein joining us, Dallas News, you tell me 3 facets of the game, special teams, defense, and offense, you guys were clicking unbelievably yesterday.
They really were. I mean, again, that rushing cover, and they've got Chris Richard really working with the secondary to try and amp that up. You had Jeff Heath getting an interception, which has been very rare for the Cowboys defense the last several years. Jordan Lewis, who lost his starting job this year, had his second straight game with the fumble recovery, and that also puts up the short field. And as you said, special teams. I mean, the Cowboys cut Dan Bailey going into the regular season this year, which was a surprising move considering he's the second most accurate kicker in NFL history. But Brent Maher, coming from the Canadian Football League, has showed that he's just about automatic, going on 15 made field goals in a row, including a 55-yarder yesterday.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, Jory, listen, the outside, I can only imagine what it is in Dallas. I know what it's outside of Dallas, and Cowboys Nation is all over the place. but they have not been kind to Jason Garrett through the first 5 weeks of the season, and so much talk about Jerry's got to move on. The lack of aggressiveness the week prior with a 4th and 1 call, he didn't go for it. He got roasted, and now all of a sudden after yesterday, I mean, not a peep from these same people. I haven't heard anything regarding the future of Jason Garrett. Nobody's talking about removing him. Did he buy at least another week, or are people a little, they're a little more forgiving now at this point?
So buying another week, it depends how you're defining that. It's my belief that Jerry Jones is not cutting Jason Garrett in the middle of the season. He'll keep him through the season. And so I think he's got at least till December. 2 things working in his favor is, one, the NFC East is terrible this year. And so right now the Cowboys are 500, but they're tied for top of the league with the Redskins going to play Washington next week. And then I think also they looked good every other game, so it's not that they have nothing to show. Jerry also realizes that losing Des Bryant, losing Jason Witten, among others, this offseason gives Garrett less to work with. That being said, the Cowboys have to show they can win on the road. I mean, the reality of the NFL is you can't just win at home and be a legitimate playoff contender, and the Cowboys are looking good at home, and they've won every game at home this year, which, as you said, is rare for them. But on the road, they're letting Dak get sacked. They have a lot of miscommunication, and they're not meeting that challenge.
Cole Beasley, monster day yesterday. Anybody who had him in fantasy is counting the money right now here today because I don't think we keep hearing wide receiver. They need wide receiver help, don't have enough weapons, and then Cole Beasley rattles off the kind of game that he had yesterday. Was it just a combination of the offensive line giving, especially against this defense, and Jalen Ramsey, who was shooting his mouth off on the other side? Was it just a combination of having Dak Prescott have an extra second, that offensive line actually protecting him and establishing the run game? Maybe the wide receiver position isn't as bad as everyone says it is?
Yeah, I think Dak having time to throw is a big deal. As you mentioned, Pro Football Focus had some number today about him being among the quarterbacks with the most time yesterday, and that's a big deal for Dak. I think also he was making his reads well. He was able to see where Beasley was coming, taking advantage of, oh, okay, you're going to go on Zeke. Well, let me get it to Beasley. And, I mean, Beasley's been a reliable target when they've gotten him involved. It's just lately he hasn't had very many targets. He said after the game, I can see why the Jaguars weren't prepared for me. I haven't gotten a lot of opportunity. But we've seen since the beginning of 2017, anytime Cole Beasley scores in a game, he scores twice in a game. And I think there's that kind of mix of, okay, once you get him going and you get that Dak Beasley connection, it's hard to stop.
It very is, and he's just, especially out of the slot, he's a tough cover, and I don't care. And you look at the schedule, and Jori Epstein joining us, Dallas News, Sports Day at Dallas News. Make sure you guys check it out. Some great stuff on the Dallas Cowboys there. Talk to us about the schedule and how this lines up moving forward, because I think we can all agree, you follow the NFL long enough, once you get to, September is nice, but really take September, throw it out the window. It really doesn't make a damn bit of difference. It's what do you do in mid-October, late October moving forward. And if the Cowboys have managed to put this together, how do you see them shaping up moving forward here?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Cowboys they're about to go play at Washington, the Redskins. That'll be an important game for the NFC East. But that being said, they beat the Redskins at the Redskins last year, and I think that they can do it again, especially if this defense keeps thriving. And that's also traditionally been one of those games where weather's bad, run game is important, and Zeke has his way. And then they have a bye week, which I think will be important. And I think if they can get this win at Washington on the road and show people that, yeah, we can win, then that'll be important. Following that, they'll come back and play the Titans on Monday night. So I don't think their schedule looks too bad. I think that they've played some tough games already. They've already traveled at Seattle. They've played at Houston, that Texas matchup every 4 years on a Sunday night. And again, when they go to play Philadelphia and the Giants, there's not going to be anything crazy they're expecting. Neither of those teams are looking, well, I guess Philly's not looking like it did last year, and the Giants aren't looking much of anything other than Saquon.
What expectations? I mean, we always know with Dallas, the expectation, it's like Super Bowl or bust here. But the reality is, with the state of the NFC East right now, the way Dallas, this defense alone, I think a lot of people got their eyes opened up to some defense there that they haven't been exposed to because they've spent so much time talking about the offense. But managing expectations with this team is never an easy thing to do. But this could very well be a playoff team moving forward, and I think they're doing a pretty good job of managing expectations. What's the feel around the team right now?
It's so confusing because, again, when you have these like really bad losses on the road, and again, the Texans wasn't overtime, but it didn't feel great to the team afterwards. It was more about how the offense was working and not working. And then you've got these teams at home where they're looking good. I mean, they put up 40 points yesterday. Beasley was their first 100-yard receiver since November 5th of last year. Zeke was going. Dak's rushing game and his passing game was going, which is an important combination for them. I think it's tough to tell. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they had a 9-7 make it to the playoffs. Do they have the type of team for a deep playoff run? I mean, Beasley's great, but I think at some point defenses are going to have answers to him, especially certain defenses in the league. And so unless you can get that rookie Michael Gallup, a receiver who's starting to show flashes of potential, but not quite there yet, I don't think they have a receiving core to take it deep in the playoffs yet. But I think given the state of the NFC East, they're definitely not out.
And you put a percentage on it here, Jori, before I let you go, so we can finally put this to bed one way or the other. Is Dez Bryant coming back to Dallas? What percentage do you give that Jerry will pick up the phone and call Dez and say, come back home?
0%.
Okay, 0. I mean, good. Okay.
Jerry might pick up the phone and call Dez. They're still going to concerts together. Dez is still nearby. I think he still means a lot to them, but that's not who they want on this team right now, and they're not looking to bring Dez Bryant back.
No, well, they keep playing defense. They're not going to need Dez Bryant. They keep playing defense like that. Jori Epstein, Dallas News. Check her out. Sports Day. Great articles, great coverage. Nobody follows them just like they do. Some great information on America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. And Jori, I thank you so much for taking some time and hanging out with us. I look forward to doing it again.
Thanks for having me on, Joe. Looking forward to it.
You got it. All right, Jori Epstein, Dallas News. Make sure that you guys follow her. Some great stuff there on the Dallas Cowboys, who all of a sudden are getting a little healthier. They'll get Sean Lee back, and all of a sudden now they are a defensive juggernaut there. They got a lot of youth. They got a lot of talent on that team. If they can start putting it together on the offense and start feeding the rock to Ezekiel Elliott, there's going to be an awful lot of teams not going to be happy right now to be playing the Dallas Cowboys, especially in the woeful NFC East, who nobody can seem to put it together. So the Cowboys are alive and well, that is for sure. I want to thank Lisa Johnson, our Turf FB, for stopping by today. Make sure you guys check out that website. Some great content there. She follows the Miami Dolphins. Jori, of course, DallasNews.com with the Cowboys, and Darryl Slater, NJ.com, talking some New York Jets football. Just moments away here from, I believe, the first pitch, getting ready, Game 3 between the Red Sox and the Astros in Houston. That's getting ready to go. And then I do believe we got the Brewers and Dodgers tonight. We also got NBA action as the NBA season, if you can believe it or not. Today is the start of the NBA season, which means we got an awful lot of storylines to cover here over the next couple of days. We'll do that. We've got LeBron in a new uniform. We've got the Dwayne Wade farewell tour. We've got 2 games tonight, starting with the Philadelphia 76ers and the Boston Celtics, and that'll be our first game. And then, of course, you're going to have the defending champion, the one and only, the Golden State Warriors, taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's going to be at 10:30 tonight. Both of these games are on TNT. And listen, the Celtics won 3 or 4 of these games last year. The average margin of victory, by the way, wasn't even close to 11 points. They would blow out the Philadelphia 76ers. And we're going to see what happened in the playoffs. Boston ran just right over the Sixers. Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, not even a factor in that particular game. Brad Stevens is 4-1 in season openers against the spread. Meanwhile, the Sixers are starting a rookie point guard, and Markelle Fultz. He played, 3 games last season, so we don't know exactly, and I think that's going to be the big question mark. The shooting is a big question for the Philadelphia 76ers. We have no idea what kind of shooting team this is going to be, and it remains to be seen, and don't know what we're going to be looking at there. A lot of people have the Celtics as winning the NBA championship coming out of the East this year, certainly as a number 1 seed. But I can tell you now, from a betting standpoint, there's nobody nobody been more profitable than Brad Stevens, the most profitable league in the coach. 221, 183, and 6, 55% against the spread in the regular season. So he's already 4-1 opening up the year against the spread. He's laying 4 to 4.5 points tonight. The over-under 209 in this game. And then tonight, the Oklahoma City Thunder. What are you going to say? But they don't have Russell Westbrook is not going to be playing tonight, nor is Andre Roberson. So I get 13.5 points. The Warriors are favored. The over-under is 221.5. But keep in mind that as far as trends go, Steve Kerr, not very good against the spread as a double-digit favorite in the regular season. So it didn't help that he added Kevin Durant either. Those numbers aren't good. When they are double-digit favorites, not exactly very good. And Oklahoma City is just the fourth team since 2005 to make the playoffs the previous season and be listed as a double-digit underdog in the first game of the season the following year. And all those teams prior to that lost by an average of 16 points. They failed to cover. 12.5, what is it, 12.5 right now, 13? Yeah, 13.5 right now is the spread in this game. Also, keep in mind, look at the first half numbers. Golden State never covers the first half under Kerr as a double-digit favorite. They are 42% against the first half spread, and that is not good. So keep an eye on what that first half number is going to be overall. But they don't have any Russell Westbrook, no Andre Roberson, so who the hell knows what's going to happen. But game one of the NBA season is getting ready to go underway tonight. A lot to be learned. There's no metrics. There's really nothing we can look at other than the Boston Celtics taking on at home the 76ers. And, of course, the Golden State Warriors at home taking on the Russell Westbrook-less Oklahoma City Thunder. So we got plenty of sports going on here. It is a Tuesday. It is the best time of year to be a sports fan. Isn't that the truth? I can tell you that. All right. Again, want to thank our guests, Lisa Johnson, Jori Epstein, Darryl Slater. If you guys missed anything, make sure you check it out. The replay is available here, streaming across all the platforms on Twitter, on YouTube, on Twitch, on Facebook. You'll have access to them all. Make sure you check out the replays, too. Some really great information about the Dolphins, the Cowboys, and the New York Jets. And I want to thank them very much for making us a part of the day. I want to thank you very much for dropping by, hanging out with us. We'll come back. We'll do it again tomorrow, 4 o'clock. We do it all over again. We'll have a lot to cover as the rest of the NBA gets ready to kick off their season, including the Miami Heat, tomorrow. And we'll have a much better idea of what we're looking at in Major League Baseball after tonight, too, as the series really start to warm up. So get ready. It is October, middle October, and we've got World Series, we got NBA, we got NHL, and we've got the NFL and college football. It's a good time of year to be a sports fan. So you guys have a great day. Enjoy your night. Enjoy the games. We'll be back tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Make sure you join us. Thanks for making us a part of it. We'll talk to you then.